right. Ain't that the way to get the bad taste out of your mouth from losing to the Eagles last week? You take the steak and you put it right in the heart of the Patriots 2023 season, and you keep Bill Belichick one game more away from beating the great Don Shula's record. This makes me feel really, really good, guys. The most important thing I want to do here is be an evaluator, not be a fan. I want to give you good football information. Sometimes it's saying the bad things that you don't want to hear. Sometimes it's saying the hard truths. But when it comes to protecting Don Shula, disliking the Patriots, and game day, well, it ain't happening. I am very happy to sink this team and to have this win today. We are now 6-2. One game removed from the Eagles' loss. We got the Chiefs coming up, and then the bye, and all health of the team should be rising if Hunt isn't hurt too bad, which I don't think he was. He walked off on his own. It was like a major season ender. I don't think he would walk off like that. Fingers crossed. But Ramsey came back. How big an addition. I'm going to get into the offense and the defense and the game and some other stuff. But how big an addition. And what an entrance to make that critical pick at that critical point. If they had put points on, especially a touchdown, it could have got ugly. That's about as good of a rival for a player that you've had huge hype over that I could imagine. So his return was tremendous. We got injuries. We got to see what happens with Hunt. This was a very brutal game for both teams. But before I get into the show, I want to give one little shout out to McDaniel. I rode him last year by not running the football. I thought it was just very green. But he did a masterful job of running the football when we weren't successful. A lot of people got down on Gailey when he was here. Some very poor coverage created some very false narratives, and fans kind of rode with it. Gailey was exceptional. And a key thing for Gailey, he understood the micro and the macro of running the football, how it plays out over a drive and over games and over the season. And McDaniel now understands that. He is a macro game manager. 20 carries by the backs, despite the low rush totals, supported Tua, got this game moving, and it really put together a big piece of the chunk of the reason why we won today. Last year, McDaniel would have just kept chucking and ducking, and we could have had more problems than we did. So I got to give my hats off and a little clap to McDaniel. He played a very big part, and he's a huge piece to the puzzle. So before I get into it, I just want to say the likes, the subscribes, the comments, the views, all that stuff is food for the algorithm gods. And the algorithm gods keep me in this game. So please like, subscribe, comment. And if you're subscribed, hit the notification bell so the algorithm gods say, Curtis, you can keep on doing what you're doing. Anyway, so defense won the game. It could have got out of control. Fangio now should start getting that wow, he really is good. And it's really the talent of the coach and then the talent of the players working together. You've got to kind of have both. And Fangio right now, I did on the AFC Shakedown, I did on Saturday with the guys, I mentioned a stat. In Fangio's best years with the Bears, that was his best defense, he blitzed around 19.5%. He's currently, I haven't checked this game, but up to this game, around the 18% mark. So the efficiency of his pressure is at its highest ever. It's still early, small sample size. But when you run a pass-first defense, a coverage-first defense, the efficiency of your pressure, and considering you're getting top 5 pressure in the league, this means Fangio could potentially, when X comes back and Holland's healthy and the rest of the guys get together with Needham, you could have his best defense to date. The efficiency of that pass rush, and now you're seeing coverage sacks and coverage driving the sacks. All together, Fangio will get his due. Now, it starts with the players on the field and obviously him maestroing it, but the players on the field are doing well, and one of them is Christian Wilkins. I've seen some people say he's not going to get $20 million. He ain't worth it. Let's trade. Even some people are putting up, let's trade him at the trade deadline. I think that's crazy talk. He's now had his career year 4.5 sacks, and it was a critical sack in a very, very big moment. And he's got about 9 games left, and he's going to blow past that. He'll probably get 7, 8, 9. And if he gets to double-digit sacks along with his health, because health plays a major factor. He's never really out, and his run stop and his character. This guy is going to be the second highest paid defensive lineman in the game. And Miami might want to play him. They might want to trade him. They could tag him this year. But I think if he performs at that level and they tag him for like 20-something million, he might become disgruntled. And this is a guy we need to keep. He is the heart of the defense, and he's on his way to a career year. Now, some people are saying, look at Chubb's doing. Some people are complaining, why did we get him? Well, his talent has never been a problem. Last year, he was a little slow. We couldn't cover, so he didn't have the time to get there. Even Phillips, with all his speed, just couldn't get the sacks because there was no coverage. Now, in Fangio's system, you get those coverage sacks where the delay between the balls thrown is long enough for Chubb to get there, and he's being effective. But the knocks on Chubb was his health. Will he stay healthy? If he is, that's going to be a big piece of the puzzle. And then it's okay. We knew he's talented. If he stays healthy, will his production be equivalent to $23 million a year, plus all the picks we spent, plus the guy we have to say goodbye to? That's a long way from here to there. The guy can play, it's clear. Anybody who says he couldn't is foolish. He's now in a perfect system for him. But it's a total evaluation, and we got to see how it plays. But the guy's playing star-like in a critical high point talent season. So who cares? I don't even care about next year. The world could blow up at this point. All I'm worried about is what this, not really, but you know what I'm saying. Whoever goes or next year, this is our year. We've got to do some real substantial stuff to validate everything. So let him stud out, let Wilkins stud out, let everybody stud out, and then we'll deal with that next year. And he's definitely playing a big part. Phillips, he's looking better in pre-warm-ups. You can see him looking a little bit more nimble, a little more free in the way he moves. And he had the pressures, 2 sacks, 2 games. Great for the kids. Some people knocking him too. It's like instantly knock. He's the worst. He's the greatest. He's the worst. He's the greatest. But the run stop of his, that's what I've been saying is going to determine who he is. And it was pretty good today. I got to go back and check, but he had a really good day and he's getting better too. I mean, how much talent you got on his defense? Crazy. Now, Apple, I get down on Apple. Apple had that nice breakup. And some people were saying, like, why don't we get rid of him? Instead of the other guy, Nickerson or whatever his name is. I like Apple because he's a vet, because he can run stop, and he can kind of make plays out on occasion. He's not a starter. He's a back-end guy. He's a guy you could bring in the dime. You know he could stop the runs. You could put him in certain spots. But as a depth player, it was a really, really good sign for us. But we signed him as a starter, which that's not where he's supposed to be. So he's going to play out well for us. Not great, but in a role. Now, Bethel was beat on the Bourne TD. That wasn't Fangio. It was just the coverage. He just couldn't keep up with them. So we have some pieces that are going to move back. You get Holland back, and you got Jones. He'll move down a little bit. X will come in, and he'll move down. Nick. So we've got an excellent secondary, very deep, and some real high-point talent. So this is going to be great for Fangio. Fangio's able to stop the run. Thank God Long wasn't hurt. He's a big piece. He's a big piece of the blitzing puzzle and the run-stopping puzzle. This defense is so loaded. And Ramsey really shows you this is not a good offense. It's not a good team. Too many injuries, just not enough talent. They can't absorb like we can. But you're seeing now, week after week, some good stuff. And it's going to get better, guys. Next week will be a totally different animal. Will be very interesting to see. So before I get to the offense, I want to let you know, guys, you are the reason I'm here. So I want to give you a shout out, but also my sponsors, because they're the reason I'm here too. Guys, I want to give you both a shout out, because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. Ace Per Head's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, offensive line's a big thing. Robert Hunt going down is critical. You know, this is not a team to expose the offensive line. I'll get into that later in the week. But they did an admirable job considering all these injuries. But Jones came in. You can see the first 2 drives, it wasn't looking good. Cotton, they put him in at left guard. And it was, Jones and then Hunt and the offensive line picked up. We started seeing some run game. We started seeing some bounce. We worked the play action off of it. And Archuleta is the announcer, and he's not too good. It's not easy, I guess, his job. I'm not going to knock him. But he was talking about how Lamb was setting things up. When we run that zone stretch, That left guard, he comes in and he seals down the flow of the line and the linebackers. And then it creates space where that tackle gets out on his own. And either the tight end or the fullback blocking, he's out his own. And then there's that space. But if that doesn't get sealed, then there's not enough space. And that's what happened when Cotton was in there. Jones had a bunch of excellent run blocks. He was an illegal lineman downfield. Should have been called. It wasn't. He had the false start. But this is a guy, he's a talent for us. He's a good player. I still say I want to see him, Connor, and Hunt. The three of them will be the bully boys. I don't know if we'll see that. I think he's going to be able to fill in for Hunt till he gets back. Hopefully Hunt's back very, very soon. But he was a nice little piece. The offensive line played out well, so it was good to see him back. Now, Waddle. That leaping catch was unbelievable. 7 for 121 for Waddle, 17.3 with a TD. Hill, a timid day, insane as it is, 8 for 112 and 14, both of them with the 1 TDs. These guys create such insane leverage that you can have this fractured offensive line along with Tua's release. And it's almost a unique style here. Now, it doesn't mean that every single game and every matchup that can happen. You can see what happened with the Eagles. But this week, this Patriots team, they're down Gonzalez, Marcus Jones, Uche, Bentley went down during a game, and Judon. They don't got the talent for that. They can't generate pressure with their front guys, and so they need to blitz and stuff. They just didn't have the talent. But if we didn't have the receivers we had and we didn't have the quarterback we had, this would have been a much bigger problem. So you got to give these guys props for what they're doing, the left. And then you add in Claypool, who got his first catch, and the Chosen, and Berrios, and Craycraft is coming back to block. McDaniel's got the two main pieces, Waddle and Hill. I mean, Waddle had the 2 drops. You know, he's going to be a little bit inconsistent that way. But he's a big play guy, and when you add him with Hill, it creates this leverage that is very rarely, if ever, been seen. And so the two of them are unbelievable. But then you've got pieces underneath with Tua, Craycraft to block, Claypool, the big guy who could work some matchups and maybe create the big play in the seam, the Chosen who could go vertical, and Berrios is a little scat guy. There's all these pieces to work around Tua, Waddle, and Hill, and that is unbelievable. And McDaniel's shown to be a guy who could do that. And it's going to be very exciting to see this play out. Now, Tua didn't have his best day. I saw Dolphin fans roasting Mostert with the fumble right off the bat. And these guys, you know, they didn't watch the play or they'd never taken a handoff. It was like this, and it was up at the chest plate. That's hard. You put the ball there and it bounces off. You know, you got to put it in the stomach. That was totally on Tua. It was, you know, the fumble. The fumble was accredited to him. It wasn't Mostert. It was Tua's fault. And then that pick was terrible. And then there was like 2 or 3 missed passes. And you got all that. But beyond that, Tua was able to uplift this bad offensive line, find the guys he needed, make some big plays, and then use his legs to get upfield when things broke down, to climb the ladder, to pick up. He had 6 rushes, you know, for a couple first downs. They were big plays that he generated with his arm, with his legs to compensate for some of the mistakes. It wasn't his best day, but the guy still averaged, 320 yards and 3 TDs with a 7.2 average on a bad day. Excellent day for Tua in that regard, coming back from a very tough situation and having a gutted offensive line. But again, McDaniel understood this guy needs a run game to create that balance. And he fed the ball even though it wasn't highly successful. And that recipe of Waddle, Hill, Tua, and McDaniel is enough to beat most teams. Now, when we get to the better teams, you're going to need Teron and Connor and Hunt. But this wasn't one of them. The Patriots are a broken team. But we could have easily lost to them, and we didn't. This is great news. Got to get Hunt back. I got to hope this is not long-term. Got to see Connor get back. This is a game coming up with Jones inside. We have a hard time when we got 1 or 2 studs on the D-line and then good coverage and then an offense that can put points on. So the Chiefs is the kind of build that will give us trouble. But again, if you had Jones, Connor, Hunt, and Teron, and then Jackson over there, I don't know if this team could be stopped with this defense going to where it's going. If we could pull it all together, and guys, even if we lost to the Chiefs, you get the bye week and you're going to get a lot of pieces back. And it's that after the bye week run, that's the most critical. And then the postseason. Where we're at, we need to be. We're doing great. It's not been perfect. We just got to hope these refs don't screw it up. The reffing was so bad this week. And is not what I was trying to say last week is what happens. Did you see Brown go false start? 376'8" Brown goes like this. And then I think it was like Wilkins and Chubb were like, well, how do you miss that? Now, I'm not saying, oh, the calls were for us too, and it was for them or whatever. They were just terrible. To me, this week showed that it's likely not maliciousness. They're not trying to fix games. These guys are just like Mr. Magoo. Parker hit to the head. How do you not call that with all we've seen up until this point? You breathe on certain guys and you get a call. That was terrible. And you say, oh, whatever. Parker's was one of our guys. He's not with us now, but he was one of our guys. But still, you don't want Waddle or Hill or Tua to take a shot like that and get knocked out of the game and not get a call at least. These refs suck. Now, Hill on the one where he got some people saying it might have been a pass. If you see, there's a little tug at the end. So I kind of understand that call. I don't think it was a terrible call. Mafi downfield, but then Jones was downfield. They gave it to us, but didn't give it to them. Jones was downfield, certainly. And if Mafi was, but whatever. Those were like, But the one that really got me was obviously the Brown offsides, full start. It was the Parker hit to the head. But then if you notice, we had two guys in motion at the same time and there was no penalty. That's insane. And if you celebrate that, then when you get screwed the next time, then you're celebrating. You should celebrate then too, because these refs are terrible. They're destroying our game. I think the good thing that I saw from this game, it's not malicious. They're just terrible. The NFL and the fan base needs to rise up and say, we're not accepting this. This is ridiculous. These refs are terrible. It was a terrible display. Did the Patriots lose because of the calls? Probably not. But it would have been close. It would have been interesting. But the point is, when you get to the bigger games against the better teams, the closer games, one of these little calls could ultimately change the course of a season for a team. And we've got to say no matter who it's against. It will hurt us eventually. These refs are terrible, and we've got to rise up even when it goes our way to say, this sucks, man. How can you screw that up? You're a pro. Some people say they're not making much money. Make it a couple $100,000. Let me get a couple $100,000 and I'll ref better than that. They are getting enough money. This league is big enough to have the right calls. This is the most complex game in the history of mankind, and it needs the most nuanced and best reffing to make sure that it's fair. It's just not acceptable. Week after week, game after game. No mas, no matter what the team to these penalties. Anyway, but still, Belly goes home, a loser. The Patriots season is done, and the Dolphins are now 6-2. Great stuff, guys. Just got to hope that Hunt is okay. Curse saying, catch you next time. Be well. Sorry, Patriots. Go Fins. Start building your own online sportsbook today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.